Hey everyone, it's Pam here with my monthly update video, letting you know everything that I was up to in the month of August. Starting off with my own podcast, Media Mavens, we put out 2 new episodes in August. Neither one had a specific topic for discussion. The first one of the month had our friend Nico, who was a returning guest for the 4th time. We talked about an article that she had written about Mercy from Overwatch, and also just had a ton of discussion about all of the TV we've been watching and games we've been playing, books we've been reading, and took some listener questions. And then the second episode of the month was just Riley and I talking about what we've been up to and taking listener questions. So I also guested on another podcast this month, and that was the Cartridge Club podcast. I was on there for the second time in a short while. This time, the game we played was Wolfenstein: The New Order. It was sort of an extra podcast in addition to the game of the month. After the E3 trailer for the new Colossus, a lot of people were really stoked to play the game, and I replayed it as well. So a bunch of us got together, we talked about the game, what we loved, what we didn't like, the music, the visuals, the characters. I ended up being the one defending the sex scenes in the game because I thought that they were really well done. And we basically just had a conversation about Wolfenstein: The New Order. Spoiler, everyone pretty much loved it because it's a great game, but definitely check out that if that sounds like fun to you. I will include a link in the description. I also did a couple of collaborations that came out in August, which is pretty new for me. I've been at this for almost 3 years now, and I've never really collaborated before, but Brasel sort of put the call out, Brasel the gamer. He wanted to do an episode about people's favorite NES games, so he got a number of submissions and put together a big, long video. I think it's almost 40 minutes long, so my submission is in there as well. You can probably guess what it is if you've been watching my videos for a long time, but Brasel did a really good job on the video and how we put it together and how we framed it, and it's really good, so definitely check out Brasel the Gamer. I'll include a link to that one as well. I also did another collaboration last month with SupaPixelGirl, and I was really excited to do this one. It's the first sort of one-on-one collaboration I've done, and we talked about our favorite villains in retro gaming. So we both picked 5 villains and talked about who they were and what made them such great villains, and it was a lot of fun to do. The video is over on SupaPixelGirl's channel. She's the one who edited it all together, and I think she did a great job, and I think you'll probably enjoy it, so go check out that video. Again, there will be a link in the description. So I'm not going to do a shout out for this month just because I just shouted out a couple channels, and I'm also working on a bigger shout out video in anticipation of a certain milestone I hope to hit soon. So I'm going to go right on into pickups, and I actually got really lucky in terms of PC big box pickups this month. I was at A&C and they didn't have any of their big boxes on the floor, so Will asked them, because he had seen them before and they were up in the upstairs, and the owner sort of dug through them for me and found some games that I was looking for. So the first thing is the Curse of Monkey Island. So I'm very happy to have this. It's got Curse of Monkey Island, and it's also got the original in here as well. In terms of what's in the box, it's actually not that interesting. The box did have the original plastic on it. It had been cut open because someone had played it before, but I don't like plastic, so I took it off, and I got to watch a grown man cry almost as I did that. And other than that, it's just the discs, so Monkey Island and Curse of Monkey Island. And the other one that I'm also really excited about, because I love this game, is Full Throttle. I remember seeing this box on the shelves all the time, and I was always super interested in it. I always noted how it was longer than it is tall, so it doesn't match up with all the other boxes in the bookshelf, but that's okay. There's a few things in here. Nothing overly exciting, sadly, but it's got just a little insert, a little reference guide, and then a mini official player's guide, which is like a bit of a walkthrough of the game. And then the disc is in here. But yeah, I'm really particularly excited about Full Throttle. I was very happy to see that the game finally got a remaster that just came out a couple months ago, though I haven't had a chance to play it yet. But this is just a really nice box, and one that I definitely remember seeing all the time back when I was a kid. Now on to what I've been playing. August was a fantastic month for smaller indie games for me. I played probably 8 games that I can say I really, really enjoyed playing. So I'm going to start this off with Little Red Lie, which is a interactive fiction sort of graphic adventure novel, and it's about poverty and lying, sort of the lies we tell ourselves, the lies we tell our families about our financial situations and our social lives and our happiness. It's very, it's not a happy game. It's one of those sort of brutally honest games, despite the title. You go through playing as 2 different characters. One is sort of in her late 30s and she's lost her job. She's always sort of had her parents to fall back on for finances, and then she finds out that her parents are in a bad financial situation too. So it's about how she deals with that, how she deals with her sister who has some mental illness issues. And then the other side is this man who's just a horrible man who has a lot of money, and he really doesn't care about anyone around him. And it sort of just tells their stories as they sort of go off the rails. And it was really impactful. It's not an easy game to play, but it's definitely worth playing. It sort of tells some truths you might not want to hear, but you probably will relate to. At least I did in some ways. Anytime you have dialogue, it gives you your dialogue options, and the options are like what you'd actually think in your head, but then what you say is like the lie you tell to be, accepted, or not to worry anyone, or not to ask for help. So it's a really good game. I think, it's probably not for everyone, but if you are in that kind of headspace where you'd enjoy a game like that, then Little Red Lie is really very good. The writing is excellent. I also played through Pyre, which is the newest game from Supergiant, who made Bastion, which is a fantastic game that I love, and Transistor, which is a game I loved a little less, though I liked the concepts around it. So Pyre is an interesting game because it's almost like part visual novel, part RPG, part basketball game. The gameplay, you do these matches, and it's basically trying to get your ball or orb into the other team's fire. So the story starts out, and you've been banished to a sort of underworld for something that you did. And you find out that there are these other people who have been there, and you form teams. And the teams, based on how they do and these challenges that they do, might have a chance to go back to the real world. So you make friends with your teammates, and you make decisions about who should play and who should go up, have a chance to go back up to the real world and leave the underworld. And it's just was very, very good. At first, I wasn't totally sold on the gameplay. I found it a little bit odd. It's not turn-based, but you can only control one of your 3 characters at a time. So you have to, it's a little bit of a strategy game, more than a reflex game, but it's, I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe now that I'm trying to describe it, but writing-wise, story-wise, it was great. The graphics and the colors of the game were just beautiful, and the soundtrack was amazing, just as the soundtracks to the past 2 games were. So if you're looking for something a little different, I also recommend Pyre. Next, I played Tacoma, which is the long-awaited second game by Fulbright, who did Gone Home. And Tacoma is definitely a little heavier on the gameplay than Gone Home was. Gone Home was a game where you basically explore a house to find out what's been going on with your family. In Tacoma, you go to an abandoned space station and you're trying to find out what happened to everyone on board. So the main gameplay mechanic is that you find like an AR that has recorded what's happened on the ship, so you can find a room and all the people in the crew will be there and you can watch what they're doing. They're just little wireframes, like you don't actually see the people, and you can hear their conversations, and then some people, might break off and go talk in another room, so you can go follow that thread, and then you can rewind and go and follow a different person, and so you're just trying to find out exactly what's happened, and it's got the same sort of environmental exploration and environmental storytelling, and I liked it. It's got a story that's got a lot to do with artificial intelligence and sort of natural disasters in space, or maybe not so natural, but disasters in space. And I like anything that's on an abandoned space station. It doesn't really have the creepiness factor, but it was really good. It's only maybe a 3-hour game, but I definitely enjoyed my time with Tacoma. Next, I've played a game called Roundabout, and I'm noticing now that all the games I played are kind of hard to describe. So Roundabout is part FMV game and part sort of arcade-style driving game, and you play a limo driver who drives a limo that is constantly revolving. So you've got like an overhead view of the limo, and the limo just spins and spins. So you have to drive down the road as it's spinning. So in order to do things like go around corners or through roundabouts, you need to time your spin so that you don't hit anything, because if you do hit anything, then your car will take damage and eventually explode. So for the first 10 or 15 minutes, I absolutely hated it because I just didn't have a handle on the controls, and I just kept like rebounding between items or like obstacles and then just exploding all the time. Once I sort of got the feel for it, it actually became kind of fun. So it was like a little timing reflex game, and it was pretty cool. It's sort of very B-movie-ish, like the parts where you're not driving, you go and you pick up a passenger, and then there's a little FMV scene of them saying where they want to go, and then you drive them there, and there's another little scene, telling a bit more of the story, and it's very sort of schlocky and kind of funny, and overall it was like a very odd game between your spinning limo and your full motion video sequences, but overall it was one that I actually really ended up liking. So the next game I played is called Observer, and it's by the developers who did Layers of Fear, which I talked about a couple months ago, I think. And this is a cyberpunk adventure game. Your main character is voiced by Rutger Hauer, and he is a police officer called an observer, and observers can like jack into people's brains after they've died so they can see their memories and things, and their memories can help them solve the crimes. So it's a very interesting game. It's a very sort of like dark, gritty cyberpunk. Like there's no shiny things, no flying cars, no awesome technology that makes me think, wow, I wish I had that. It's sort of like the dark side of cyberpunk. People have modifications and chips in their heads and things, but they're all falling into disrepair, and the corporation that owns everything is, just out for money as opposed to helping people live and keeping their modifications up to date and sort of healthy. The game starts and you get a call from your son. So you go to this apartment building and you find someone murdered, but they're beheaded, so you don't know if it's your son or not. So you're trying to solve this murder and going through all the apartments and interviewing people. It's very creepy. Like, your character you're playing has all kinds of modifications, and so their vision and their sound or auditory processes like glitch out. So it's very very spooky as you go through. It's pretty light on jump scares, but just, you know, the atmosphere is creepy, the things you see are creepy. There was one thing that I didn't like about it, and that was that at times there is a monster and you have to sort of be quiet and stealth around behind them, because if it catches you, it'll kill you. And I found that wasn't really necessary. I felt similar to when I played Soma, which is like, I liked wandering around and exploring, but when it came to like getting away from the monster or hiding from the monster, I felt like it sort of just added more frustration than anything actually interesting to the game. So I liked it overall, though I definitely could have done without those parts. And also, I played it on Xbox One, and it actually ran terribly on Xbox One. Like, it's good that I am as unbothered as you can be about bad frame rates, because the frame rates were bad, like really bad. So if you're going to pick up Observer, I think you should get it on PC. I haven't heard too many complaints about PC because it didn't run on Xbox very well, but overall the game was quite enjoyable. I say the word enjoyable a lot. And the last game I played in August, which was the last game I beat, is the Sexy Brutale, which is a sort of like murder mystery time manipulation game. You go to this big lavish party in this big mansion, and you find out that the servants are killing all the guests. So you need to prevent all of the murders that are going to take place. So, for example, the very first one in the sort of tutorial of the game, one of the servants shoots one of the guests. So you get to go explore around, you find the gun in the first place, and you have the option of putting blanks in the gun. So it's not quite as simple. Like, you have to find the servant, find out what their plan is, find out where the blanks are. If you go and you successfully replace the bullets with blanks, then you save that person. There's also a time manipulation thing. So if you fail, you just sort of start the day back over again, because you might need to do different things. Like, you might need to go follow someone and find the passcode to a door, or how to change the closed circuit television recordings. But it's really cool. There's a lot of just exploring and fun things and not letting yourself be seen. And I really thought that it was a great game. At first, I wasn't quite so sure. The aesthetic is a little weird. Like, it almost looks like a 3DS game, sort of, except I played it on Xbox. But it's just really good, and you find out, maybe there's more to this party that meets the eye, and you just have to solve and then prevent. I think there's 8 different murders or so, and sometimes it's 2 people being killed and you have to save both of them at once. So there's a lot of planning and strategizing and sort of going back and redoing things in order to save the people. And it was a lot of fun. So I think that's it for this video. It went on rather long. I just played a lot of games that I loved in August, which is fantastic, because sometimes I play things and I'm like, I don't have that much to say about them. I don't really recommend them. But this month it was just like a bunch of winners, and they were all short games, which I always enjoy. So that's all for this video. Let me know in the comments if you played anything particularly exciting, or if you got any exciting pickups. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.